Hello and welcome to Self Focus. Today we are talking about Wes Anderson's movie, The Grand Budapest Hotel. I'm Connor Hamilton and I'm joined with.
I'm Shannon Garrity.
And Brady Anderson.
Okay, and we have just finished watching this movie. What are you guys' overall thoughts on it? Just finishing up.
The whole thing looked like a children's book, but there's Nazis.
Yeah, it was really good. Oh, excuse me. I really liked how it basically just looked like a children's book or almost like a children's movie, but with adult themes and there's the Nazis in there, obviously.
I think a lot. Everyone knows Wes Anderson. A lot of people really hate him actually for how perfectly symmetrical and artsy it looks. Because some people actually think that it takes away from the story. However, I think with this movie, all the cinematic aspects of it and the visuals really play into the dialogue of the narrative and whatnot, which is I really like
Yeah.
it for.
Yeah, I totally agree. I very much think it's taken so since it is a story of a guy's remembering the good old days of that the hotel he loves. So using those bright colors and making everything look fantastic really adds to that narrative, and I think it really makes you feel a lot more for his memories of the place and the old way of life.
Even with Zara though, if you notice in the beginning of the movies with the visuals, or the way they frame it, especially in the front, you notice that he's actually a lot smaller and taken far back, where Gustav is a lot more in front, and I think it really plays with their interactions with each other, and then sooner throughout the movie, they ended up kind of having a similar balance just visually, and I think that definitely plays into their relationship with each other, especially when Agatha came along too.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
interesting, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that he definitely grew. So I didn't even pick up on the that size thing. So yeah, that's really cool though. Because I think that he did move forward in the frame then, as more power he felt he had. And I think it was big when he stood up to Gustav later in the movie, don't flirt with her. He kept saying it to him, he was worried, but at the same time, but he was
He's
now to
pretty
the
much my
point.
brother,
Yeah.
Yeah.
nothing's gonna happen. Yeah. I really liked how in all the kind of flashback scenes, I guess, or the ones that took place in the 30s or whatever, the hotel just looked so clean and real polished, and just in all of his memories, just the hotel looked a lot better until later when he saw it when Jude Law was interviewing him. It was just so dirty and murky, and it almost seemed like there was less editing done on it. It was just more kind of, I don't know, bare bones.
Yeah, very much. I think that he did a really good job of differentiating the time. I mean, he used the aspect ratio of the film to do that, which the different period you were in was how big the screen was.
At the same time, though, and it was taking place in Eastern Europe, right? And I think actually going to Europe and being there, it doesn't it really didn't look as well as it did. The hotels and all, even then back in the 30s. And I feel like this movie wasn't really taking place back in Eastern Europe, back in around World War I, World War II. I think it was actually more Hollywood's idealized of the Eastern world, because you see a lot of 1930s movie aspects in there too. And so I think, and I know a lot of Wes Anderson movies are inspired by books and different forms of art, so I feel like he actually was more inspired by that aspect of it that created this whole story for that. Is our idolized vision of the 1930s Eastern Europe type of aesthetic.
Kind of more style than substance,
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, I kind of picked up on that.
Yeah, they did do a job, so they did obviously relate to World War I or II, but they did make up the fake. It was all a fake country they were in, and all kind of a fake army and all that stuff. Obviously, pretty much Nazis though.
Yeah, the whole themes were there, that theme was there and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So the fascists and stuff, and kind of more it really clashed with Gustav because he really I don't know, kind of lived crazy and really just did whatever he wanted.
At the same time, he was so orderly though too. He
Hmm.
always knew what he had to do, because I feel like when you work in the hotel industry, it's kind of he was an exaggerated version of what that was supposed to be, and it went so deeply personal into him that even when he was in prison or something, that like he knew how to act even then, which
Yeah, he very much. I did enjoy too, like when he was in prison and he was still being the hotel guy, walking through and offering bush to everybody.
Yeah.
So that
I also like how like when he was in prison, he like I don't know, it just seemed like a kind of a modern prison, especially when he was talking to Zero when he came to visit him, and he's just like, yeah, my first day here, I just pretty much like beat the crap out of this guy, and like now we're best friends and stuff, and it just made me think of like I don't know, kind of more in like a modern sense than what you
Yeah.
would think of as like 1930s.
yeah. It was I was some very modern themes that were just there, It's like stuff they would say and things like that. It's like, well, that sounds way more modern than it does for
A lot
the
of
time
a lot of the
period.
dialogue was like that, and like not a lot of people really had like Eastern European accents. I mean, like Owen Wilson was like, "Yeah, Monsieur Chuck." Like he didn't even, yeah,
I think that definitely adds to like the comedic aspect of it though. Like I feel
yeah,
like especially with you know how they move off and on screen, and I think he does. Wes Anderson does a really good job of filming that to add like more of the movement to them too, like the comedic like aspect. I don't know if like exactly, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, I get it. Like Wes Anderson does some like the crazy
I
like
thought
he
it was
really
funny.
yeah he
Just
pulls out a lot of good comedic stuff even out of like not very comedic moments. Like I would say the like, scene where like the guy goes down there and stabs all the guards was not a comedic moment in any
right.
other movie, but the way he filmed it, it was just like I guess it's a draw. Like
I don't know. I feel like it might just be like the fact that he's worked with so many of these actors and like like a whole bunch of movies. I mean, you look like Edward Norton, Owen Wilson, Bill Murray. Like a lot of those guys, he's done like 4 or 5 movies with, so you can kind of really tailor his dialogue around like the talent he has there. Especially if they, prior friends. I don't
yeah.
know.
it probably would just be so fun to be on set for that too, like just acting in one of his movies or even just like decorating and whatnot. I feel like that'd just be so fun. I don't know how someone could not have like fun on set.
I
Wes
actually
Anderson.
I think I was looking it up. I forget which person it was. It was someone from the set. They talked about how they did like this giant action scene in the movie Hannah, and like that she thought that was going to be the hardest thing of her career, and then she had to do the hotel. She's just like, oh my god, I couldn't do that. Like it was so like everything needed to be precise. It wasn't that movie like cut away, cut away.
I suppose
It's
it's
like
yeah, like Wes Anderson has to be a perfectionist.
yeah,
I mean, you just like look at his movie and it's just like, yeah, just the amount of detail that he puts into it
And
is
how much
crazy.
time it takes to make sure everything is in its place, you know.
Hmm.
it's and then like yeah, and then he even added like the models and things like that, like the stop motion and stuff he does with the like skiing scene and sledding and just like the establishing shots of the hotel and everything. I'm like that just adds a really like fun twist to it, you know?
Well, yeah, you could like clearly tell that a lot of those were like paintings, just like the mountainside and stuff. But like it wasn't like, oh, like those effects suck. It was just like, wow, that's like a beautiful painting. Like he did a great job just making this look good, you know?
And yeah, and it's interesting too because like Wes Anderson's movies are obviously like they get classified as like independent and stuff like that. So it's like it definitely falls into the line of like what you expect an independent movie to do, but with Wes Anderson's like talent at this point, especially with crew of like those great actors, he really like seems to be hitting it hard there and creating some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the like shootout scene in the hotel. Like, you don't really think of like when you think of a Wes Anderson movie like, oh wow, that gunfight was really awesome. But like I don't know, it's just real like just the way it would like played out with how like symmetrical it was and like I don't know, it was just really like cool.
It looked like. Have you guys ever seen Fantastic Mr. Fox? Like one of his older movies. It was like a claymation. This looked like
Yeah.
a live action version of that movie, just because everything was so like front on too. You know, like everything was just like facial like shots and everything.
Yeah, definitely. It's just so crazy like cuz like when you look at films and like you watch other movies, no one really does what Wes Anderson's going to do. He's just like, "Okay, we're going to do this shot. It's going to hold it on you, then I'm going to spin to the right and you're going to go do your stuff over there." Just like, "Okay." And then he loves playing with the sets and lights. And it's I think the scene where I like the best was like when the guy was looking for people throughout the house or whatever in the or he's walking, or he's being chased by the guy, and he's in the room full of the what are they called, suits of armor, and they're all like under a lid or top lid or something, and it's just like him walking down it. And it's like that was a really cool chase scene. Like step, step, step. What was that? Turn, turn, turn. Shoes come off. Okay, I lost them.
The music too, though, for like the chase scene, but also when what was that like guy's like the evil villain dude's name with like the mustache? The guy who wanted the painting, that dude.
Oh,
when he was like in the basement,
Dimitri,
yeah. Well, every time he was like on screen, like there was always really great music to play along with what he was doing. And like I didn't even notice it at first, but as I was like watching the movie, I just like I found such appreciation for the music of it, just because it plays so well with what's going on. And I think in a lot of movies, it's not as done well as is this one.
Yeah, I definitely think the sound played a lot into it. There's so much stuff like just on the background that makes the movie like. I mean, you have those great actors, but Wes Anderson's a great director. But like the amount of work the other people did, I think it's I was reading it's like one of the only Oscar like movies that like like for one of the top Oscars, like best screenplay and stuff like that, and then also won best costumes.
I'm not even surprised with that.
Yeah, those were all really
gorgeous.
Cool.
Just the clothes was so perfectly picked out. They did such. It was just like at every moment it was so like.
It worked well with the time periods too. Like I was really impressed with that, especially like the '60s too. Like you could definitely like tell that was for the '60s and everything, and even like the whole like mood too of how classy and like stylish everything was.
Yeah, and I loved his narrative technique of just like the story within a story. That adds a fun thing where you start
within
off
with a story.
Well, yeah, within another one, because when you were gone, it was like there was a whole nother layer to it too.
It was
it was the guy reading the book. Yeah. So it was like he was reading the book that was written by Jude Law, who's getting like told the story. So it was pretty crazy.
I think she was actually a Girl Scout or something, because like she had the little like hat and everything. But like I really like the keys that people put on.
That was really cool at the beginning. The like shrine.
That was cool. Yeah.
I thought it's such a great story too. Like we talk about visuals and all that stuff like that, but like the plot was so amazing, and then like just the heart wrenchingness of the Agatha. What was her name? That was just like this like whole thing where you're just like, how is she gonna die? Because he's like so sad about it. Then at the end he's like, she died 2 weeks later.
It was just so cutthroat.
Yeah, it was really just kind of like tossed out there, and then they just moved on.
Yeah. They're like, we're gonna go hit other stuff now. It's she's dead.
Well, I mean, there are so many different aspects to that story. It was such a like. There's so much going on that I feel like if they really prolonged those like deaths, they could never like finish the movie.
I was expecting it to be longer because it was only like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. And I don't know. I always thought like Wes Anderson movies were always really long, and I was expecting this one to be like really long because I figured it like had a lot to do with the hotel and like guests and stuff. I didn't even really know about the whole like murder angle going into it.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely one of the movies that I would love to see like a director's cut or like the longer version of it before it was cut down for like theatrical release and things like that, because I think there just seems like I want more.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I bet Wes Anderson gets a lot of artistic freedom from like the studios to be able to like edit it to exactly what he wants at this point in his career.
I don't know if I could ever like see a sequel for it though. I think Wes Anderson films are always it's always that one and done thing. Like I'm happy where it's ended, and I think he does a good job of that because he wants to like explore so many different like stories and concepts and ideas. And I think like I don't think I could ever see him doing a sequel because of that.
Yeah, he definitely wraps up his like films so nicely. He like wraps them up, puts that nice little bow, and he goes, "Now you don't care anymore." Like
a nice little bow.
You're never gonna sit there like, oh, but I was wondering what this character might be up to later. It's just like, nope. Everyone kind of
pretty much all the like loose ends got closed up, and then even at the end he's just like, and I never went to the hotel again. It's like, yeah.
And then I loved the that end shot where we have the boy with apple underneath the thing, like it just looks so worn and like,
it's like crooked,
yeah, no one cares about it, and it was literally like it's priceless. Like
I wonder if it was crooked in like the beginning of the film too. Because I didn't even notice it till the end of it. But it's
Yeah.
probably even there.
Yeah, I didn't notice it till that last couple minutes.
I think that kind of like holds the significance of it, like how much it's aged since like.
And just the hotel, like the
And-
general kind of health of it, you know, because like the guy wasn't even at the desk at the end, and like nobody's there, so.
Yeah, it's very far from the days of the lobby boy and all the people there. They had so many employees, and it was good. I can't get over
I
that.
would watch it again. I love
Yeah,
Wes
I really
Anderson
enjoyed
films.
The thing that I also thought was interesting was between Zero and Gustav, right? Gustav, was that his?
Gustav, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like their relationship. They call each other brothers, but I really got like this father-son relationship from
That's
it.
what I was
It's like-
picking up too, because like when they said the brothers thing, it kind of threw me off at first. I was just like, yeah, I was picking up a lot more of like a father-son kind of vibe, and
I think he's more of a mentor to him, like definitely, but I think there's a lot to say with what was the kid's name?
Zero.
Zero. I think he had a lot of character development because if you notice in the start of the movie, he was like really nervous and shaking and like terrified of Gustav, but like after the course of the film, he really like owned up to his character and really changed, especially after he met Agatha. But I think like the only reason why is just because he looks so young. There's that huge age difference. But I still definitely think that Gustav is still a mentor to him.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
yeah.
I just think like just the scenes of like him having to
Oh,
approve
yeah,
the girlfriend and then like leaving him money and stuff like that just screams that father-son relationship. And then I think like definitely with his growth, you really see that in the two train interactions.
Mhm.
Like the first time he's like so nervous, and the second time he like hands him this thing, like, oh god, here we go again. But yeah, it's so man, just Wes Anderson movies. Like you were saying, Shannon, there in the movie, you're like, I just can't look away. It looks
So
pretty.
it makes my brain feel good.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like the symmetry.
Well, there's like always something going on. Like you can't look at your phone for like a second or like look away
Because you'll miss
because
something.
you'll miss something. Yeah, it's like even when Willem Dafoe kept on like pulling out his business card, you'd only see it for like 1 second, and then it was gone, and you're just like, well, I didn't even read like half of that. Or like the card that like Edward Norton gave him on the train. It was just like, it just looked so nice, but like, you know, there's so much to read there, and it goes by so quick.
The interesting thing too is so with the newspapers that would fly up, Wes Anderson actually wrote detailed like news articles about each one. So like if you stop the movie and we like read them, it'd be like reading a real
Really?
newspaper about
Man.
like everything going on. And that's not done in movies. They're usually just like
Yeah,
the same paragraph.
that just
or
shows how like
something.
meticulous he is.
He's so
You know?
detail oriented.
Yeah, see, it seems so odd. Like I love his movies. I'll watch them. It's just like I feel like it'd be so hard to work on that set because he's just like, nope, do it again. Like,
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
I
the
bet they just
smallest
had like a
detail.
million takes because I bet you he's never satisfied with the first
Well,
one.
can you imagine how much it must have like costed to make that? You know, because everything in there, I would assume, is like real. You know, props and everything, and like just finding all those antiques and whatnot, and making that beautiful hotel of a set, like with, you know, so like that it's probably so like expensive to do. I can only imagine. It baffles me a bit.
yeah, and then for like he just is so meticulous. Like with the scene thing, Brady, you said that like how many scenes he must do. The slapping scene when they all got out of the thing, and that last guy slaps him and says, "Take care, kid," or "Good boy," or whatever.
Mhm.
They did that 46 times, I believe,
46 times.
and he slapped him each time.
Oh my
Like
gosh,
actually slapped him, and like Wes Anderson was not happy until that. I was like, okay, we'll go with that one.
that's hilarious. I fully expected it to be even more. Honestly, just
Mhm.
thinking about Wes Anderson, like I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think, and then it was also brought up during the movie, like speaking of directors who are very demanding, where the hotel scene with William Dafoe or whatever, where they were running down was it the William Dafoe? No, it was the other guy. It was
Adrian Brody, the son,
The son, yeah.
Dimitri or whatever.
when he's chasing her. It looks so much like The Shining.
Yeah,
That was a Kubrick. Did I say Hitchcock? No, I said
No.
Kubrick.
yeah, you got it.
I got confused because I could try to think of the son's name. I'm like, what did I say already? Then I'm like, why was I thinking Hitchcock?
I
Yeah.
wonder if he does like creates all of his sets in like the same type of like warehouse because I noticed in like the beginning of Moonrise Kingdom you see the similar shots of like the one room and whatnot. And I was looking at that and I was looking at some of the hotel rooms in this movie like it seems like they kind of like use things from past movies, or maybe used that for Moonrise Kingdom. I don't know, but I definitely like can see like the similarities between the two. So I wonder if there is like a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I could believe that he's shoots all in one studio. I'm sure they're just like, this is the neon paint studio where we have all the bright colors.
Loaded with Wes Anderson
Yeah.
sets. That'd be pretty awesome to like tour.
Yeah, as he definitely like. I would love to see what a set looks like, just like not from the camera's point of view. Like, what does it look like just standing there? Is it?
Well, like his camera swings so much, where I feel like they would really have to like flesh out a room.
Yeah,
Because as opposed to like just having the camera on like one side, then you just kind of have to do like one wall or whatever, you know, as long as that's in the shot. But like most of the camera angles, they always like swing and stuff or like move along a dolly. So I feel like they would have to have some real big sets.
yeah, definitely is. I think they shot in an actual hotel for Grand Budapest. Yeah, they did because they did hair and makeup and stuff in the lobby because it was quicker.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
Huh.
yeah, and then I think the actual hotel manager is an extra in one of the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and he like was behind the desk, and then later the crew and stuff kept coming down. There's always the same guy behind the desk. They're like, "Are we filming something?" Or it's like, no, that's the guy who actually works here.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
It's an interesting hotel. I would stay there.
You would.
Yeah.
I would. It looked pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I want to just. It made me want to eat cake. Just all like the pastries and everything.
Definitely hit the cake idea. Like, you know, you might want to get some cake on the way home from this.
Or a little like the little cookies with like the knives in them. Those are funny.
I really liked that scene. Yeah.
I would have really liked to see this movie in the theaters because I think that the aspect ratios would have been interesting on the giant screen.
That definitely would have changed a lot more from just watching it on. I mean, your TV's pretty big, but like, that would be way different.
I bet you there are people in theaters who are upset about it. Who are like, why does it look weird? Why is it off?
I feel like people who haven't already seen Wes Anderson movies would be. You
Yeah.
know?
We're just confused because it's so different from like any other
Mhm.
film that you see in movie theaters now.
Yeah, I would love to find someone who just stumbles like, yeah, I just wanted to see a movie that night. It sound cool. Poster look nice.
I'd like to
Everything
talk-
was
yeah.
symmetrical.
I'd like to talk to somebody who's never seen a Wes Anderson movie before, like never heard of it, and then just like sit them down in front of this one and have them watch it. Because I bet it would be like, I bet they wouldn't say it's good.
No.
Or like, I mean, there's a chance.
I think it's
But-
like 50-50, but it's a very like extreme 50-50 because I think
Yeah.
people either really like Wes Anderson movies or just really don't like them. Actually, I've met a couple of people that like find all of his movies pretentious.
Yeah, he definitely gets something like such an artsy side that like other filmmakers and stuff must look at it and be like, just what are you trying to prove, man? Just do it normally. And he's just like, nah, this is better. And they're just like, it's so much more. Like,
Yeah. I feel like he doesn't really churn out movies that like
No.
often anyway.
Because it probably takes
So-
so long to make them. Actually.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
even like edit it and stuff too. I bet it's crazy.
yeah, his new one is Isle of Dogs.
Oh, I want to see that one
That
so
does look
badly.
good.
Yeah, and it's back to his stop motion stuff. So he has an interesting stop motion style. His animals do not look fluffy. It is
They're
upsetting.
scruffy.
Yeah. I guess that's interesting too, because like it's so smooth and nice on his live action stuff,
Mhm.
then his animation stuff is kind of like
So
scratchy.
choppy and like yeah.
Yeah. So Wes Anderson is definitely one of my favorite directors. I'm excited to see more future works by him. Like,
Me too.
what's he gonna do next? So,
I definitely like the like live action Wes Anderson stuff better than the stop motion. That's just me personally, but
yeah. I just fall in love with his stories every time. I find the characters so fun. Like, 'cause they're never really normal.
They're all very theatrical too.
very
Yeah.
like
You know,
quirky and kind of yeah.
they all have like I think there's a huge difference between an actor that's performing on stage for like a theatrical performance and then an actor in a movie. And I think even though this was a movie, just looking at all the characters, even the extras too, they look like cartoons almost with their facial expressions and everything. And I think that worked perfectly for this movie. I couldn't imagine like actual people just normally talking in this movie. It wouldn't work.
No.
So it's perfect that it worked out the way it did.
Yeah. I think great movie.
I was
Very
really
optimistic.
impressed.
So if you had to rate it on a scale of, let's do 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Definitely an 8.
I would say a 9. This is one of the best movies I've seen in a while. I'd say.
I'll split the difference and give it an 8.5. Purely because I really enjoyed it, but it's just not my favorite Wes Anderson movie. I really enjoy Moonrise Kingdom more than this, just because that's a little bit more wacky and just love the
That is
kids in
cool.
it.
So campy.
It's all about kids camp. So
Can't go wrong with that.
No.
yeah. So this was Soft Focus talking about Wes Anderson's.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
I almost said Moonrise Kingdom. So thank you for listening. Have a good day.